Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel and happy Wednesday. Yesterday I uploaded a video where Briana DeJesus, she had to answer Kail Lowry's attorney's questions in this deposition that she had to sit for due to this lawsuit that Kail Lowry brought against her. Kail Lowry is suing her for defamation of character. Through the process of a lawsuit, you have to sit for depositions, basically where you and your attorney, you meet with the other person's attorney and you have to answer questions. Now, from my understanding, Kail Lowry, she is set for a deposition, Briana DeJesus, and so is Chris Lopez. And throughout all of their depositions, it's over 400 pages of questions and whatever was said throughout these depositions. The Ashley Realities Roundup, she picked all the most juiciest conversations and questions that was asked of Briana and Kail, and that's what we're going to do here. We're going to go over them. I've already did this for Briana DeJesus's deposition, so if you have not watched that video, you guys can check it out. I will link it in the description box below. Basically, these depositions, they seem to be pretty long. There's a lot, like I said, 400 pages. So the Ashley actually went through the trouble of reading through all of that and just picking out the questions that were asked that we would be interested in. And she put up an article, and I'm just kind of going based off her article of things that, in my video yesterday, things that Briana DeJesus, she was asked and how she responded. Today, we're going to do that with Kail Lowry. So today, we're going to give a full recap of Kail Lowry's confessions and statements that she made during her court deposition in her defamation lawsuit against Briana DeJesus. So, on how Kail Lowry found out that there was a warrant for her arrest and what happened the night that she turned herself into the police. Now, a big part of this lawsuit stems from an arrest that was made in a situation that happened where Briana DeJesus says that Kail was abusive to Chris Lopez and that she broke and entered into his mother's house. So, that's one of the reasons that Kail Lowry is suing Briana. Months and months ago, I wish I had the exact date, I'll look it up, but some time ago, last year, Briana DeJesus, she did an interview with Celeb Buzz, and she also went live on her Instagram page, basically saying that Kail Lowry had gotten physical with Chris Lopez, and that she had broken and entered into Chris Lopez's mother's house, and that she had been arrested for that. Now, Kail Lowry, her story is a lot different. She was arrested, but according to her, she was innocent and that Chris lied, and that's why she feels like, I guess, like she has the right to sue, because none of these things were true according to her. So that's what we're going to talk about first on Kail Lowry, how she found out that there was a warrant for her arrest, a warrant for her going into Chris's mom's home and allegedly getting physical with him, and allegedly, you know, the breaking and the entering, and what happened the night that she turned herself into the police. So the deposition began with those types of questions, the questions about her arrest, and she said, they asked her, like, have you ever been arrested? And she said, I'm not sure. I've never been handcuffed. She does admit to being charged with the crime of offensive touching. Kail said that she didn't even know that she was in trouble until she got a phone call one night telling her that there was a warrant for her arrest. She said, I got a call after an incident 3 weeks following the incident saying that there was a warrant for my arrest. So I went down to the police station and I turned myself in, and then all of the charges were dropped. Later on in the deposition, Kail describes the night that she got the phone call, and she stated that she actually thought that it was a joke or someone was pranking her at first, and so did her attorney. She said, we thought it was a prank call, so I didn't turn myself in right away. She said when she did realize that it was real, she ended up turning herself in. She said, as for what happened on the day she turned herself into the police, she said they booked me, I guess that's what it's called. I put my fingerprints in, and they put me in a holding cell for about an hour, and then I went home. She says she did get a picture, mugshot, I'm assuming, taken, and that she did have to go before the judge. She said, during that time, I was in a cell for probably about an hour. They pulled me out of the cell to talk to a judge. And then she says, not a cell, but wherever they detain people. She said, and then I believe they might have even put me back into the cell until they released me to go home. She wasn't handcuffed, and she went before the judge via a TV screen due to COVID. She said that the charges were dropped several months later, but she never had an arraignment like some of the articles mentioned. So back when all of this was going on, there were articles out there saying that she had an arraignment that November, but she says that actually never happened. Also, they asked her about how much she makes on Teen Mom, but she refused to answer that. She actually said that she can't answer it. She said she wouldn't answer it even if she could because she would not want Briana to know, but legally she can't let her know. She said, I would be violating my contract by sharing this information with Briana. And I know that when I worked at like the finance company, in our contracts that we signed, we were not allowed to reveal to the other employees how much we made. And I spoke to my boss about that one time. I was like, why? And he was like, well, just say you're making a lot more than this other person. Well, that might make them mad. They may feel like they should be paid more, so it could just cause conflict. So that's why they do not like for you to discuss with the people that you work with, your coworkers, you know, how much money you make, because it might come out that someone makes more than the other one. Anyways, after disclosing it off record, so she did disclose it off record. She did tell the attorneys off the record how much she makes. Briana's lawyers asked Kail if she had had trouble getting along with any of the other co-stars. Kail admitted that she has had a feud with Janelle Evans. Pretty funny that the court reporter that's like typing all this up must not be familiar with Teen Mom, because rather than in the paperwork, Jesus, I can't think today, but in the paperwork where the court reporter typed all this information up, rather than saying like calling Janelle, she actually calls her Jamel. Janelle's name is Jamel. That's pretty funny. But anyways, they asked her like what started the feud between you and Janelle. She said it's hard to say what the dispute was about. I'm not entirely sure how to describe the situation with Janelle. I don't even really know what the problem is. She added that Janelle has a problem with her, but she doesn't really have a problem with Jamel. She said that Jamel actually got upset with her over a situation that had to do with some photos, some pictures with the Teen Mom cast. Kail, Chelsea, and Leah, they did this photo shoot, and Jamel was not invited to do the photo shoot. But like Kail Lowry said, like that was not on her. Like they were just told to show up and do this photo shoot. They had no control over the fact that Jamel was not invited. But apparently that ticked Jamel off a good bit. And that's what started the feud. So Kail said Chelsea Who's Got an Eye and another former cast member and I supposedly left her out of a photo shoot, when in fact we had no control over this photo shoot. She added that Jamel's husband, David Eason, also contributes with her issues with Jamel. She pointed to a snack food-based incident which stuck in her mind. She said her husband has body shamed me. That's really all I can think of right now. He told me to lay off the Cheetos. She added that Jamel has also body shamed her on social media. That's so wild because like Kail has polycystic ovarian syndrome, so she struggles to lose weight, and that's probably one of the reasons why. But you know, Jamel is not a stick figure either. Like, this is not me body shaming her, but like David Eason, when he got with Jamel, she was pretty skinny, right? And I remember he used to body shame, like he's body shamed almost all the girls on Teen Mom that are a little bit more on the bigger side. They're not huge. They're just on the bigger side, which is fine as long as you're not like unhealthy, right? But Jamel herself has put on some weight. So David, how do you feel about your wife, you know, putting on a few pounds? Are you body shaming her when you guys are at home and y'all get into a fight and she unfollows you on social media because she don't appreciate the fact that you're going after people on social media? That's going on right now with them. Like, that is present day drama between Jamel and David Eason. David Eason attacked a transgender person on social media, and Jamel didn't like that, so Jamel unfollowed David on all the social media accounts. And then David actually redid the bio on like his TikTok or something, and it was like, my wife unfollowed me on all the social media accounts because I wouldn't text her back or something like that. But really, I think she's unfollowing him because she don't want to be associated with that. People have asked her, like, why are you okay with your husband doing these types of things? And she's like, I'm not okay with it. Why do you guys think that I unfollowed him? I'm not okay with it. But just because that's the way that he believes, it doesn't mean that I believe that way. Anyways, that's the problems going on between Jamel and David right now. Like, they're fighting over at the land. So I wonder, you know, now that Jamel is not as skinny as she used to be, does he attack her for her weight when they fight? I feel like he would. I feel like David would be the type that if he and Jamel got into it, that he would absolutely attack Jamel for putting on a few pounds. Anyway, so that's Kail kind of goes over that, why her and Jamel don't. I swear, Janelle is no longer Janelle. I'm going to be referring to Janelle as Jamel. Anyways, she goes over why they don't get along and, you know, what's happened between them. And I think the reason why they're asking her about this is because they're going to try to paint this picture like, oh, Kail don't get along with any of her co-stars. It's not just Briana. Like, she has problems with all of her co-stars over every little thing. So I think that's why they're talking about that. So they then discussed some articles about Javi and the accusation that he once broke into her house in 2017. The lawyers argued back and forth about the relevance of the situation with Javi. They also discussed an article that claims that Javi said Kail stole property from him around this time as well. But Kail, she disputes this. So Kail said, I would say that I never stole from him, and I can honestly say that I believe this isn't about me. It could very well be about his second son's mother, Lauren Como, who also filed a PFA against him. So I can't honestly say that this is about me. It should kind of be an easy question though. Well, did you steal from him? Because if you did, then it possibly could be about you. But if you're like, no, I've never stolen from Javi, then maybe you could kind of, you know, shut the door on that and be like, okay, well, clearly it wasn't about you. So next, they discussed the incident that took place back in 2012 when Kail and Javi were married. The incident where she got physical with him on the show and the articles that came out after that. So when Kail was asked if she ever hit Javi, she said, I pushed him, yes. However, she said the articles claim that she hit Javi in the face, and those were false, that she never hit him. Briana's lawyer asked Kail if she feels bad talking about what she did to Javi. And she said, I definitely regret my reaction to what I did to my ex-husband. I absolutely am remorseful. I've apologized both publicly and privately. So I think I'm at a place where I can face the music and talk about it and I'm okay. I absolutely should not have pushed him. Kail admitted that their divorce was so public because they both talked about their issues on social media. However, she insisted that it was not her decision to discuss their situation online. So now they move on to talking about Kail's podcast and the things that she discussed on her podcast and the fact that at times she has discussed Briana on her podcast. So she says that she's mentioned that Briana sent her a body shaming treadmill. She says that she tries not to discuss her personal life on the podcast, but that if something is untrue, she says she will clarify it on her podcast, which I feel like she has every right to do. Like that is her platform to use however she wants. Kail said that she sometimes uses her podcast to dispute things that others say about her. She said, I would say when Briana publicly accused me of felonies that I did not commit, I definitely clarified that on my podcast. Kail claimed that she had only learned that she was being accused of breaking and entering when she heard Briana say that. At the deposition, she told the attorney, she said, I thoroughly remember people writing, talking about how I allegedly broke into someone's house, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I mean, I knew what they were talking about based on what Briana posted, but that never happened, so I clarified on my podcast. Kail stated that she thinks that people believed what Bri was saying was the truth. Kail stated that around June or July 2021, she heard Briana talking about her beating on Chris after getting mad about Chris cutting Lux's hair. This was the same time that Kail was not on an episode of Teen Mom 2, and there was no explanation given for her absence to the viewers. So Briana, she gave the explanation on her Instagram account, and that's when she said, well, Kail was not there because she didn't want to film about the arrest and the abuse and the breaking and entering. Kail says, first, Briana claimed that someone from production told her that I was not on the show because I refused to talk about my arrest. And she also accused me of breaking and entering into Chris's house. And again, the offensive touching. I believe she said that I hit him. Then the story changed to Chris told her that I broke and entered into his house and that I assaulted him. She publicly accused me of breaking and entering. She also said that production told her that I was not on TV because I refused to film about the arrest, but none of that is true. It's not true that I was not on the show because of this arrest. It is not true that I broke and entered into Chris's mom's house. It's not true that I assaulted Chris Lopez. It is not true that I committed these felonies and wasn't allowed on the show because of them. Now, Kail says that it's her belief that because of Briana going on her Instagram and going on interviews, saying these things about her, that she had gotten physical with Chris, she had hit Chris, and that she had broken, entered into Chris's mom's home, that she lost sponsorship deals, which I do know a little bit enough about this, that there is a lawyer, uncivil law, that covers different things. And if someone interfered with like a sponsorship deal and they caused you to lose that deal, that is grounds for, I think, defamation. Because, especially, well, if it's a lie. If they contacted the business that you have this deal with and they lie on you and that business cuts ties with you, then you do have grounds for defamation of character. And I think it's called like tortious interference or something like that. You guys can go check out Uncivil Law and he'll tell you everything you need to know about that. But I do know that he has talked about that before. And if you can prove that, then you do have grounds for this lawsuit. So Kail claimed that when she learned she had an arrest warrant against her, she called her teen mom to producers and informed them that she was going to turn herself in. She stated that while the show's producers did not care, some of the brands that she was working with at the time did care about the arrest and the allegations of her hitting Chris. She confirmed that she was dropped by a few brands that she had sponsorship deals with, including HelloFresh. She said, I thoroughly believe that HelloFresh and at least one or two others dropped me because of Briana's statements. Kail included that there was a difference between the articles that came out versus what Briana said. She said all of the articles said allegedly, that it was alleged that Kail did XYZ. But Briana stated it as facts. She said that she knew for sure that this was why XYZ was happening. This was why Kail was not on the show, because she hit Chris, because she was breaking and entering, and she didn't want to film about this. But Kail says the difference is all the media outlets, they were saying allegedly. So that is a difference there. She said Briana stated everything as facts. She stated, I broke into Chris's mom's house. I don't know where she got that from. I don't even know how production or Chris or anyone would have told her that. She literally made it up. In the deposition, Kail said, I want to be honest. I don't know for sure the reason why I was dropped by the companies, if it was specifically due to the arrest or if it was due to what Briana was accusing me of, the breaking and entering, the hitting. I'm really not sure. Now, I feel like Kail probably screwed herself there. If she would have stayed like, no, I think this is the reason why. Like, I think this, but by her saying, well, maybe it was because of the arrest. But either way, nobody knew about the arrest. Like, the way that everybody found out about the arrest is because Briana put it out there. So, still, maybe that could help her there, is that nobody knew about the arrest. Because how can you lose a sponsorship deal over an arrest if it wasn't out there yet? Briana was the one that leaked that information. Anyways, next they talk about the reason Kail was actually not in the episode in question. Briana claimed that it was due to Kail not wanting to speak about the arrest, but Kail says that it had to do with the relationship that she was in at the time with a man named Malik Montgomery, and that she was refusing to film about him. So that was an issue with production. They wanted her to film about this new relationship, or the relationship that she was in. I don't know if it was new, because I actually think they dated for quite some time. But she was refusing to film about her boyfriend. Instead, she wanted to film about interior in her new home and the type of curtains they would have. And she was like, if you guys don't want to film about this, I'm not filming. So they're like, no, we need to film about XYZ. And she's like, nope, not filming. She says that she did not want to put her relationship on TV and risk the possibility of ruining her relationship. She said, I've had several relationships on the show fail, and also just trolls becoming involved in my relationship has led me to not want to have any type of public relationship. I can understand that. Now, they talk about the day that Chris cut Lux's hair and everything that went down that day. When asked if she did touch Chris that day, Kail stated, I did not. She says that Chris told the police that she did, and she believes that Chris lied to the police about this. She says, I believe Chris would do that because we have a very tumultuous relationship. She says Chris has told a lot of lies about her in the past, including claiming that she cheated on him. She also claims that Chris has lied about whether or not Kail has given him money. He has also said, I've never given him money, which I have. He said that I'm pretty sure at some point, he even got on an Instagram Live, and said that I didn't hit him after this police report came out. And I'm sure someone can locate the footage of that. I watch Chris's lives now, but back then I didn't really watch them. But I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if he actually got on Instagram Live and said, no, she didn't hit me. But according to her, that's what happened. She did not hit him. He lied. and he even admitted it on an IG Live. That would be very important for them to find that. Kail disputed again whether or not she was actually arrested, as articles claim. When asked if she was arrested, again, she said, arrested? I didn't get handcuffed or anything, so does that count as an arrest? Bree's attorney said, I don't believe handcuffs are a necessary element in an arrest. She also disputed the claims that Chris's sister and his mother had to pull her off of Chris. Those were the claims. She said, the sister never touched me. That is inaccurate. She confirmed, though, that she was taken into police custody for offensive touching and that she was released without bail. She said, I never talked to the police. The only time that I really dealt with anybody involved was when they called me to tell me that there was an arrest warrant. So I'm not entirely sure. I just know the arrest warrant was issued 3 weeks after the alleged incident, and everything was dropped for lack of evidence and lack of proof. Next, they bring up an article that was posted on a site called Champion Daily. They ask her, does she believe these websites to be accurate? She says some could be accurate, maybe some more than others. They bring up the article from the Champion Daily, the article that states that Kail was arrested for punching Chris. She says, I didn't punch him, but yes, I was arrested. Regarding yet another site about the same topic, Kail read it over and said, I was arrested for allegedly punching Chris. Yes, Chris reported the domestic incident on the day of the offense, but police didn't make contact back with him until September 25th. Briana's lawyer asked Kail to rank how mad she got about Chris cutting Lux's hair on a scale from 1 to 10. And Kail said a 10, that she was very upset when she found out that Chris cut Lux's hair. Kail said that her nanny, a woman by the name of Natalie Knapp, was present for the altercation. She stated that Natalie was in Chris's mom's house that day that all of this went down. Chris had told the police that Natalie was in the car at the time of the incident, but according to Kail, that is not true. Kail said on the day in question, Chris's mom let her in the house to pick up Lux. She got him, but once they were in the car, that she realized that Lux's hair had been cut. So she got out of the car, walked back into the house. Chris's mom let her in through the sliding glass door so she could speak to Chris. Kail says that this is what she told Chris. She said, I told him that he really didn't have the right to do that. I told him that I was not happy with it. It was not okay. He couldn't even take time to take him to a proper barbershop or like a hairstylist. And then I left. She said, I mean, Natalie was right there, and that was that. I just told him how I felt about the haircut, and I walked out. She claimed that no one asked her to leave and that she left on her own. Next, they talked about the PFA that Kail had gotten on Chris at the time of the incident. And she said the reason that she got the PFA is because, this is her words, Chris almost killed me in October of 2019. Now, this would have been around the same time that she got pregnant with their son, Creed. The next few lines regarding the incident were redacted from public view, so we don't know what was said about that, but I'm going to imagine she probably detailed what happened. Later in the deposition, she does confirm that Chris was charged with the crime for what he did and that he spent some time in jail for it. She also said that he did confess to the crime. After that, they discuss what Kail believes to be domestic violence, like what's her definition of domestic violence, what would be an example of domestic violence. So she kind of goes over that. I guess the attorney wanted to make sure that Kail knew what domestic violence was. Like she had an accurate understanding of what DV actually is. So Kail went on to dispute any articles that claimed that she was arrested for DV. She said she was actually charged with offensive touching and never DV. She said, I would describe it as lies. I didn't offensively touch him or put my hands on him. I wouldn't call it a domestic incident because it didn't occur. Later in the deposition, Kail stated, I believe that offensive touching is essentially like a disorder, maybe like a disorderly conduct unfairly, or I think offensive touching is probably something from pushing or shoving all the way to, I don't know, I'm clearly not an expert. I explained what I thought it was. So I think she was going to say shoving or pushing all the way to the ground, but then she kind of interrupted herself and was like, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't know what it is. Now, after that, they talk about Chris and what type of person he is, maybe what type of dad that he is. She says that she feels that Chris has narcissistic tendencies. and narcissistic behaviors. She says he parents for himself, not for his children. He sees his children as objects and pawns and a way to control me. He is very manipulative. He is abusive. He is self-centered, and he will do whatever it takes to have his way. She says that includes lying to the police if necessary. She says, I don't think Chris has a conscience. So there you have it, you guys. That's her part of the deposition, or everything that the Ashley's Reality Roundup thought that we would be interested in. And I do think that was pretty interesting. Now, I left out one thing just because I don't really care to talk that much about it. But on the article, they talk about how Kail has called herself everyone's favorite villain. So Bree's attorney asked her, like, what do you mean about that? Why do you say that? And she just kind of explains, like, it's kind of a joke. Because people that watch the show, sometimes they refer to me as the villain. She goes into all that, explains it. Clearly, Bree's attorney doesn't understand the joke or why she calls herself that. So she has to explain that, but I don't care that much to talk about it. But yeah, you guys leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. I actually thought that was pretty interesting to hear Kail's side. To hear Kail say, like, literally, I did not go in there hitting him. I never touched him. I didn't even, like, storm in. I knocked. His mom let me into the sliding door so I could go talk to Chris. And I just said XYZ. And then 3 weeks later, I'm called by the local police department and they tell me that there's a warrant out for my arrest, which it was dropped. You know, it was dropped. They didn't have sufficient evidence. And then according to Kail, later on, Chris on an IG Live, he stated that she did not hit him. So I don't know, you guys. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys feel like this changes the situation? Like maybe Kail has a better case for defamation against Briana? I still don't really think it is, because while, yes, the magazines were saying allegedly and Briana was stating it as facts, I think Chris really told Briana this, so Briana really believed it to be accurate. So it's not really her fault that it was not true. She believed Chris because she thought Chris was telling the truth, right? You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you guys think will happen? I still think it's going to be dismissed in due time. But yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. Also, if Chris did do a deposition, which from my understanding he did, we'll go over that as well as soon as we can. But leave me your thoughts. Make sure you give this video a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.